going on? I hope we're all good. Let's take a little look through. I think we're going to have a fair bit to cover in a short space of time today. From what I've been seeing, like looking back over the charts very quickly this morning, is that we've seen quite a lot of movement overnight, and certainly in the last 2 to 4 hours. So we need to look for some potential entries and some potential corrections around this price action. Pound New Zealand, one of them. Obviously, we come down into that 50 region, 94.50. We didn't come quite as low as the target that we were intending at 94.20, but still came pretty close. A decent position from those that took it a little bit earlier, and definitely for those that took it from 196. A very solid position, 160 pips easily on the table for us. So, there's definitely the potential for this pair to start to look to pull up at the moment. I think a drive into 195.50 makes a lot of sense. Then we see where the pair goes from there. If you come out to the 4-hour time frames, you can see that it's kind of that little sticking area. We've come into this support region and this resistance zone. Always kind of expected to see some form of reaction from here. It's just where we go from here. Do we see a pushback down and a drive into 194? Or do we see it push back to the upside, take this as a new higher low and look for runs back to 198? It's difficult to know at the moment. I think realistically, looking for potential long positions, we don't want to get involved until 196.20 is taken out. That makes the most sense for us. But also not going to look a gift horse in the mouth if we do get the run below. So at the moment, I think entries below 94.20, 94, somewhere around that area, make sense for short positions, longs back above 196. As things stand, I think we're just sat in a bit of a no man's land. I know that there's 100 pips either side of that, and it'd be lovely to cash in on them, but there doesn't seem to be a solution, a reasonable position here to want to take that kind of trade. So if you're in it, then feel free to let it run through, see what happens. Current price action's kind of indicating that new swing might be plausible. I mean, that we'll see that run back down to 94 anyway at some point, but also don't discount that push back to the 50 region. I think the pound's weakened off in general. This morning, obviously, we've seen pound CAD drop a little bit further. Obviously, we were talking about the potential to trade it away from this region at 73.50 yesterday. If anyone took that, you'd be running about 100 pips in profit. I think that comes back down to 72. At some point, that's probably likely to break back down towards 172. And then obviously from there, we're likely to see some form of drive back into 173 before we see where price is potentially going to head from there. If you come out to the 4-hour time frame, you can see the new swing, but you can see that the pair kind of wants to come and retest 173. So I would be mindful and cautious of that potential drive into 173 and then see a new swing from there. Or obviously we break the support region at 72.30 and head towards 72. That's not a trade I would want to take though. Longs completely discounted now until 73.50 gets taken out. Shorts, you can take one below the current 30-minute swing low. At this 30 region down to 72 if you wanted to, but waiting for 72 to be taken out makes the most sense. So longs above 73.50, shorts below 72. Pound yen, I just want to take a look at. So with pound yen at the moment, we're sat around quite a key area. This is where we were talking about yesterday for this potential need to drop back down and then we could see that drive to the upside from here. If we break back above 150.20, so I would go as far as say to 150.50. If we break above 150.50, we will highly likely return back to the highs. That's that 50 region, so I'd be inclined to pull that down to here. Have a level in at that 50-50 region. If we were to break above 50-50, I would be very confident in a return to 52-50, 53-50. So the pound looks like it might strengthen up. It looks like we've got definitely potential long opportunities. If obviously you're short or we're looking to get in short, a drop out below 149.50 would likely see that 100 pip drop into 48.50 that we were looking for, and a retest of these lows. But with how weak the yen's been, we are highly likely to see this be the higher low to match our higher high, and see a run towards previous highs. So definitely be mindful of that 50-50 region. That has a lot of potential. Now, I just want to go back pound New Zealand because it's a pair that I want to enter. Euro Oz, massive push this morning. Big drives. The warning signs were there when we had broken the highs yesterday. But we've now seen obviously massive pushes to 156. And then as high as 156.70, I think we broke to this morning, 65.65. So we broke up in a big, strong way. Like I say, in the last kind of 2 to 4 hours, we've seen some massive movements. Now, what we're going to see is a push back down to 156. And then we'll see where the pair reacts from there. If we reject away from 156, then the longs back up to 158 are on the cards for sure. If we break back below, then I think we have a second buy at 155.50, and obviously see where the pair goes from there. Looking for potential short options, we can obviously short away from 156 if the opportunity presents itself to us. If we can break below, get that retest, and just chalk it off as a fake out, then obviously we have that opportunity to take that short position. If we don't see that kind of behaviour, then what we are probably likely to see is a push back down to 156 and then a rejection away from there. I just want to get rid of this crosshairs. See the start of that little trend line. That would just act as an added confluence for that break back below 15.50, or 55.50 should I say. So we should definitely keep a watchful eye over the pair and see where we go. Rejections below 156, retest, push away, 100% looking for shorts back down. Breaks back below 15.50, more than confirmed that the short bias is the way to go, and we should see 154 here. Where we are now, rejections away from 156 would bring into play a breakout entry, that push to the upside, break for initial comeback retest, establish support at previous resistance, and push to the upside. If we reject away from 156, then that is the time to look to take a potential position for the breakout, and look for the long back up towards 158. So a very interesting area for the pair as things stand. New Zealand dollar came down, we broke through that highlighted region, but all we're now doing, if you can see, we're just sat in this support zone where we can see all the previous support around this area, support around here. Why is every chart got like crosshairs on? We're just chilling around this region and we're currently rejecting. What I would almost anticipate seeing is a drive to the upside. I don't necessarily see that the US dollar is going to hold. The fact that the US are also threatening to go to war or sending warships to Russia, obviously not a great thing either. Let me just pull that up. For those that have watched this pair with us for a little while, obviously you'll know that we were trapped in a little range before on this pair. We're now trapped back in consolidation. So a break to the upside above 70-80 signals your long entries. Probably have to wait to 71 to go just to be sensible. And then obviously a breaks below 70 whole number. Signal our short entries down to the 50, and then obviously 69.50 goes and it's open season as we've said before. So we have the potential on this pair, but we're just trapped in consolidation. We just need to see a breakout of that 4-hour range definitively one way or another. You can just see where we've been sat sideways for a little while now. So we'll see how that comes. And see if we can get a break of either side of that. Dollar Swiss. Again, we've seen the Swiss franc on an absolute rampage since last week. We are trading around some like difficult areas, and I think now that we've broken through, what we can expect to see if you come out to the 4 hours is if you were going to make a low, a higher low to match this previous high. Now is the time you have to do that. We're in a crisis zone for the pair. If you wanted to pull this down, you could, and then run it through the lows of here. We're at a crisis point, we're at a crisis zone, an area of previous support that if we break back below, we are now in the realms of a fresh low. And we're likely to see a pretty sharp fallout from that. We'll see the dollar give back all of the gains that it had made against the Swiss franc. So, at the moment, rejecting away from this level is obviously something that makes a lot of sense. I don't think that I would be content or comfortable to take a potential position. I just want to come to the lower time frames. Nah, I'd want the highs to go. Really, like, definitely want to wait for 93.20 to go. If 93.20 can go, then obviously 93.70, 93.80. So a simple 20 to 80 range, and then obviously above there. But for now, longs above 93.20, shorts below 92.30. Short target in at 92 to begin with, but realistically, if we break through that, then we are highly likely to come down towards. Pretty content with that. Towards 90.50. So it's a free fall if we get through this region. So it's last ditch do or die time for the US dollar here. Euro CAD. We spoke yesterday about that potential for coming back to 50.50. If obviously we were to break back and continue this little run, then 150.50 in that area of breakout was going to happen. We saw that rejected, come back down. Again, longs above 150.50, we will certainly be looking for breaks above 50.50 up to 152.50 to begin with, and then obviously the potential to go higher than that, probably towards 153. But for the time being, breaks above 150.50 will signal those longs. The consolidation here is very interesting, and I think breaks below 149.40 maybe give it till the 30 region as a pending order, but 149.30, if that was to happen, then I think the fallout down to 148 will be pretty quick. So I think there's definitely the potential there for that to fall off and drop as things stand. So yeah, there's definitely potential surrounding Euro CAD and shorts. Potential sell stop limits if you wanted to below 90, 49.30 make a lot of sense in my opinion. Euro dollar, we've obviously broken above. We saw a very sharp push into 1920, which wasn't entirely unexpected, but it looked as if yesterday we were going to get that potential to reject away and see that drive to the downside. Again, a lot of movement through the day, and we've started to see movement this morning. It looks like the Australian dollar, so I want to go through and have a look at some other pairs, but it looks like the Aussie dollar is what is weakened off really. The euro has gained some strength a little bit this morning, but nothing in comparison to what it has here. And the US dollar looks as if it's either going to look to attempt to break back below 118.80, or we reject here and we head back towards. Breaks above 1920 will lead to 120.20. I don't even need to look at that. Like, I know that that's where that will go. Yes, we have this little area at 1950 to contend with, but I don't actually see that being any issue whatsoever. The flip side of it is that if you were to see a new swing form, this is where we would like to see the lower high form for that drive back into the downside. So again, a very make or break area for the dollar. If it doesn't want to go any higher and the dollar wants to strengthen up, certainly surrounding the Swiss pair as well, then now is the time for it to act. If it doesn't act, then like I say, you're very much likely to see the pair stall. So there's a lot to keep watch on and keep an eye on as things stand at the moment. So it's a difficult one. Definitely a difficult one as things stand. The dollar needs to strengthen up and grow its backbone quickly, or we are going to see it fall out a lot. What's dollar CAD saying? Large spikes to the upside, looking to make a lower high, I think, before that push down to the downside. There's definitely potential to short this pair, you know. There's definitely potential to short dollar CAD below 125.80. Yeah, 125.80 you could short dollar CAD, because that will definitely do 80 to 20 easily. If not, then I don't think there's a long entry now, unless we can see a rejection and clear rejection away from 125.80, 126, that kind of region. Then you have the potential long entries back up, looking at 127.50. But until that, I would really say that 126.50 has to go before we can look at that. But there's certainly potential to short the pair. What else is there that I wanted to look at this morning? I'll tell you one pair I wouldn't mind looking at actually. Euro pound. Pound weakened off, euro strengthened up. Below 180, below 86.80, 86.60 should I say. I think you have the potential to be able to short the pair down into 86 or 85.80. It's whether or not you feel that that's a worthwhile position to take, but I think there's a trend change coming. I think the euro could look to strengthen up across the board, but shorts below You could go as low as 50 if you wanted to be safer. 86.50 down into 86. 85.50, 85.80, somewhere around that region, somewhere around this consolidation zone would be likely where you were to see some support and see the pair strengthen up. But yeah, there's definitely some potentials, quite a lot of potential flying around this morning. It's just going to be a case of waiting for the correct confirmations, but these levels have macro fallouts. Like, these will produce massive movements on the higher time frames and have consequences for a good few months if it was to come in that way. So it's definitely something to watch for. I think one other thing that I just want to have a look at, seeing that the CAD looks to strengthen up and the Australian dollar's weakened. We're back inside of this little range. If we come to the 4 hours, we'll probably see it a bit better. We're back inside of this support region, these two support zones. I don't know if the Australian weakening is not just a profit take. It doesn't overly look like there's too much reasoning behind the pair being as weak as it is. Either we have just seen a lot of waves of recent, but I would hazard a guess that we could see it strengthen up a little bit this morning. Sorry, Euros. Just want to have unemployment figures, poor. That's not really anything too out of the way. Nope. It doesn't seem to be anything that's worthwhile, like seeing the movements that we've seen. So certainly be wary about the euro strength this morning. The dollar weakness there's gonna be some weakness, I think, surrounding like potential for sending war zones against Russia. That would just be an error all in itself. But yeah, we're trading around some pretty key levels, so definitely things to watch out for. Throughout this morning, I quite like that. Pound New Zealand, I want to keep an eye on. Euro Oz, I want to alert 156. Because if that goes, then that's a big thing for the downside. Euro CAD, I wanted to alert 49.40. And have that area alerted. Dollar Swiss, not overly interested in. Pound CAD. What was the next one? At below 72. No, I'm not convinced that gets hit today at all. Euro USD below 1850 also. Yeah, I think that's about it for this morning. Just need to be a little bit mindful, a little bit cautious, and we'll see where we go from there, I think. I hope everyone has a decent day, whatever you're up to, and you've had a good week. Like I say, I'll look and endeavour to catch up with people a little bit later and over the weekend. Have a decent day.